8,680,800. That's the total number of minutes that I will have been momming, yes, I made a verb out of it, from the time that my son was born until August 26th when I drop him off at NYU Stern School of Business in New York. Cooking and cleaning and washing and folding and cooking and cleaning and washing and folding and dropping off and waiting and picking up and waiting and dropping off and waiting and picking up and waiting and working and paying for working and paying for working and paying for. For the last 17 years, I've been the metronome providing the backbeat for the song that is My Small Family, and I am totally exhausted. So when my husband told me that he was going to go overseas for 2 years to work, on the outside I said, "Oh, really?" And on the inside, a door opened. And when my son told me that he was going to go to New York City for college, another door opened. This will be my first time being alone for 17 years. Thank you. Now some people, I know you feel me. Now some people would say, oh, this is the beginning of the empty nest syndrome. But I've decided to reframe this equation and flip the script, and I'm now calling it the invitation for creative metamorphosis. Okay. I have never been afraid of change. In fact, I have been experimenting with the whole concept of creative living my entire adult life. I lived in the back of my Ford Ranger for 6 months in Canada, sleeping in national parks and writing and hanging out and talking to people. My husband and I lived in Japan for 2 years, and we lived in a trailer park in Blue Island for a year just to do it. We hung out in Seattle for a good 6 years and lived in the mountains in a town of 600 people outside of Portland. I drive a motorcycle. Thank you. I'm an artist, I'm a writer, I'm a teacher, I'm a coach. I've been constructing and deconstructing and forming and changing my life for the last, I don't even know how many years. So the fact is that when I look at my past micro and macro adventures, and I look at my future micro and macro adventures, I just say to myself, hey, this is one more journey. No problem. You know, when I graduated from high school, my dad gave me 4 gifts. The first was a Buick Skylark, blue 4-door gas guzzler, okay? 100,000 miles. And the second was a black plastic toolbox with Phillips head screwdriver, flathead screwdriver, hammer, and WD-40. And I still have that under my kitchen sink. Thank you, Dad. The third present was a lesson. Dad taught me how to change the oil on my car. And the fourth present was a mandatory typing class because Dad said, hey, if you know how to type, you'll be able to get a job anywhere. Of course, as a radical feminist, I was offended by that, and now I write for a living. So basically, Dad taught us how to land on our feet. And now, as I stand at the precipice of this period of momentous change, this Gail Sheehy passages moment, I realize that I have every single thing that I need to move forward. Basically, I figure that I have 2 choices. Door number 1 is existential angst, and it looks kind of like this. Maybe I should rent out my spare bedroom to a student from Northwestern so I can have money coming in and maybe have somebody else to take care of. Maybe I should get a part-time job to supplement my writing. Maybe I should travel and do a world tour and go to all the countries that I wanted to go to when I was so pissed off standing on the sidelines watching them do stuff and thinking about what I want to be doing. Blah, 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 blah. And then door number 2 is over here. And beside and behind door number 2 is my muse. And she basically says to me, Victoria, cancel all calls. jump headfirst into the gray zone. Face the page, go into your studio and make art, continue storytelling, do improv, move forward, work on Project Victoria. My muse wakes me up early in the morning and she wakes me up late at night, and she's getting louder and louder lately. So the other day we had a conversation, and she said to me, well, what do you really care about? And I said, well, writing and sitting in the sun. So as if we were having one of these field of dreams, if you build it, they will come moments, I went out to the garage and I found a wood horse and I dragged it out into the yard. And then I found this other wood horse and I dragged that out to the yard too. And then I found a rectangular piece of pressboard and I basically laid it across the two horses. A white plastic chair fit perfectly in the middle, and then I found a market umbrella that I had sitting out there so that I could shade the computer from the sun while still getting a tan on my legs at the same time. The pièce de résistance was a very heavy orange extension cord, which I also wrapped around the bottom of the horse leg and plugged in my computer. And for the last few days before the rain started, I've been sitting out there typing and working and writing about experiments in living and getting all of this out. And a little neighborhood bunny has been sleeping next to me. So as I delve into Project Victoria, my muse keeps telling me, you know what, just ask two questions. What and why? Don't worry about how. Easier said than done. So as we progress through the summer, my son and I, which is an interesting chapter and another story, basically I realized that we're both ready to launch from this relationship that we've been in. And on August 26th, when I take him to NYU and I help him unload his stuff in the dorm, and I go to the orientation and I try to be cool and not cry and meet the other parents and say goodbye. We have to be off campus by 7. It's all over the website. So I'll leave at 7 and I'll go back to my hotel. I'll probably eat some dinner. I figure the next day, I'll go to Soho, Tribeca, I'll go shopping, and I will basically begin the Victoria Liberation Tour. I like to name things. So what I'm going to tell myself is that this is not a loss, but an opportunity. And as I fly from JFK back to ORD, and I take the taxi back to my apartment in Evanston, and I put the key in the door, and I open the door, I know that I will not be alone, because my muse will be waiting for me, and when I see her, I'm going to tell her that I accept her invitation for creative metamorphosis. Thank you.